Hello. Today we'll be reviewing a very special G-Shock model. At least it's very special for me. As you can see by the box, it's something that is old and not really new. I received this from Japan some time ago, but I never got the chance to do a proper unboxing or review. So let's open the box and see what's inside. So this is a regular cardboard box. Inside you have a very interesting plastic box. You open it by just pulling up and the G stays there as the watch is wrapped around it. This is the manual. It's in Japanese because the watch came from Japan. I haven't even opened it yet. I didn't want to use it because the module is pretty simple, and I'll explain why you don't need this if you're familiar with some basic G-Shocks. Okay. I got this cloth, I got the watch, and I even have the tag which says, as you can see, a G-2000. Now this is the watch itself. And it's in a remarkable condition for something that's 16 years old by now. Okay, so this is the G-Shock that I will talk about, the G-2000. So let's talk about what makes this watch so special. The first thing that makes it special is that it's a screwback G-Shock. What that means is that unlike 99% of today's G-Shocks that have a resin case and a back plate that's held in by 4 screws, this one has an all stainless steel case, and the case back is one giant screw. Now this makes it feel heavier than normal G-Shocks and gives it some heft. It makes it feel like a serious watch and less like a toy. I'm not saying that normal G-Shocks feel like toys, but this really feels more sturdy and gives it more heft, like I said. The advantage of this kind of case and case back is that it's pretty much indestructible. It means that if you have an accident or something happens that's beyond what the watch can handle, like I had a case with a normal Casio watch where I fell down and I dislodged the strap, and I didn't break the lug, but the spring bar gouged the hole and pulled a strip down the lug. So whenever you put the strap back, it just kept popping out. So pretty much the watch was destroyed. This won't happen with this. Here you'll break the spring bar, you buy a new spring bar, and you're good to go. The second thing is that on normal G-Shocks and Casio watches, when you change the batteries, if you over tighten those little screws, they will strip the threads in the case, also ruining the watch because you can never close it properly again. With this, that cannot happen. Another thing connected with the case is that this was the last regular production screwback case. Besides the Frogman, which is an entirely different price league, price tag. When it comes to normal G-Shocks, this was the last model that ever had a screwback design. Today you have some anniversary models like on the 20th anniversary, 25th and the 30th anniversary, which are square G-Shocks that have this type of case, but this was the last normal production model. The second thing that makes it so special is that it's pretty limited. What it means is that it was produced only for 1 year, actually a little bit more. It was introduced in the year 2000 and it lasted up until somewhere, I don't know, 2001, maybe June, July of 2001. The reason why they stopped producing it, I don't know, I presume it was a decision of moving to more complicated G-Shocks and bigger G-Shocks. So I pretty much think this was a flop when it comes to sales, and they decided to discontinue it. This makes it pretty rare, and which makes it a collector's item, because the ones that you find are 16 years old now. They're from year 2000 or 2001, and they're getting pretty rare to find with the bezel and the strap in good condition. Most ones on eBay are just the case without the bezel and strap. So it's pretty much a collector's item. The third thing that makes it so special, and I believe that made it costly to make at this price tag that they were selling them, is that the case is one of the best made cases of all G-Shock watches. What I mean by that is that the case is completely finished. As a comparison, I have a DW5000, which is also a screwback design, and the case on my watch, when you remove the bezel, which I did, is, although it appears like the whole watch is polished and finished, actually behind this bezel the watch is completely unfinished. What it means is that it looks pretty crude, like simply cut out metal and left like that. While they only polished the parts that are seen by the actual user. On this watch, on the other hand, they put the effort to finish the case completely. So it's completely polished, even under the bezel. I believe it was part because of these cutouts that showed the case behind. But it's pretty impressive that they went to the effort to polish everything when the only person that's going to see the case is a watchmaker when, I don't know, removing the bezel or changing the parts. And that's something that usually is reserved for high horology. Like, I don't know, F.B. Journe, who makes his own watches, he usually finishes bridges on the dial side, which is something that no one sees except the watchmaker that services the watch. And that's pretty impressive. So this makes it pretty special because of that, I believe. The case back is not polished, but it's finished with circles, as you can see. And the impressive thing is that you have the DW5030 TC, which is a model that costed $2,000 when it came out, and now you can find it for $2,800. And even that watch, I've seen pictures of people taking bezels off, is unfinished under the bezel. So this was a, I don't know, $150 to $200 watch, and it was better finished than their top of the line model. And the fourth thing that makes this so special, in my opinion, is that this is the most copied G-Shock of them all. If you go to eBay, I can bet you that you will find at least one fake. And if you live in a country where dealing with fakes is not a big deal, like let's say Croatia, where I'm from, when you go to online sellers, like online selling pages like eBay, but Croatian versions of it, it's more likely that you will find all the fakes and none of the originals. Now, I don't know why they decided to fake this one, but the fakes are pretty good. They really have the stainless steel case, the case back. Everything is like the real thing, so it's actually a really well made watch. But I will show you in a second what are the differences, so that anyone who wants to buy this watch will be 100% sure that they're buying an original and not a fake. Okay, so the way you can tell a fake, no matter how good it's made, I've never seen a fake that has these two things that I will show you. So as you can see, sorry about that. So as you can see, the original has a little raised pip on this circle. Fakes never have that. Fakes have just a straight circle without this raised pip. So if you see a G-2000, no matter how good it looks, if it doesn't have a raised pip, it's a fake. And the second thing that none of the fakes I have ever seen has it is, you see this screen, the way it follows the contour of the circle and then comes back. So this little cutout, this triangle, on fakes, it doesn't exist. Every fake that I've seen just has a screen that's like this, cut straight to the end. So I'll probably put a couple of photos here so you can see next to it. So regardless of how good they look, and they usually have the nice case back and the writings and everything, if a watch doesn't have these two things, you're pretty sure it's a fake. Also, if a watch has those two things, it is a genuine watch, because I've never seen a fake that good to copy these two things. Well, that's about how to tell a fake from a genuine model. And now for the final thing that makes this watch special is that in 2003, Casio made a huge commercial sign in the shape of a G-Shock that was a huge wall clock in Shibuya district in Tokyo, and it was based on a G-2000. So I'll put some photos so you can see here. You can find these photos online when you look at photos of Tokyo, and also you can see it in the opening scene of Tokyo Drift, the Fast and Furious movie. You can see that wall clock. Unfortunately, it got damaged somewhere, I don't know, 2006, 2007 by a store, so they took it down. So this model inspired one of the biggest and most expensive commercial signs Casio ever built. And that's about the specialties. Okay, now we'll move on to the actual review. So the watch itself is about as big as a square G-Shock, so W5000 or 5600. So I'll put them side by side so you can see. It is, however, a lot bulkier and thicker, which makes it appear bigger on wrist than this model. The closest that you can find today, I believe, is the G100 and the G2310. Those two models, I believe, are almost identical in size and shape. But unfortunately, the bezel from G100 doesn't fit this. At least that's what I read somewhere. So I will try it on the wrist so you can see. Also, the strap, just a second. The strap is pretty short for a G-Shock. So let me just move this away. So as you can see, there's nothing sticking out on my wrist, and I have a pretty small wrist. It's a 6.5 inch. See? So the size is really nice for people with smaller wrists. It's also pretty comfy, and it really feels nice on the wrist. Now I'll try my 5000 so you can see that although it's one of the smallest G-Shocks that you can buy. Just a second. See, I have a little part sticking out. Now I can pull the keeper all the way, and it's pretty small, but still there is some piece sticking out. With this, nothing is sticking out. It's shorter. It's a bit shorter than this, and it's really great for a small wrist. Okay, another thing that I wanted to say, especially compared to this, is I believe this is one of the best designed G-Shocks ever. When I say best designed, is because when it comes to basic G-Shocks. Now I'm not talking about G-Shocks of today that have triple sensors and everything. I like basic G-Shocks that have an alarm and, you know, basic things, stopwatch, timer. And this used to be my favorite. I mean, it is still, because I love the look of it. But I believe this watch is an improved version of this. Why? Well, it has exactly the same functions. It has a multifunction alarm, it has a timer, and a stopwatch, just like this model. But the one thing that I don't like about this model, and which makes it not perfect, is the buttons. The buttons are small, and the cutouts for the buttons are small, especially the adjust button. Whoever owned the DW5600 or 5000 knows what I'm talking about. So when you operate this watch, you're not squeezing the buttons with your fingers, although these ones you can, but more like with your fingernails. And you have to look for a button before you squeeze it, especially the adjust button. Like, see, I already missed it twice. Now, with time, you get used to it and you're okay with it, but this button is used for resetting the timer and the stopwatch, and it's pretty hard to, until you get used to it, to use it. So this watch, although it has the same functions, is pretty much improved on this. Why? Because first it has huge buttons. It has bigger buttons than this one, as you can see. And the cutout is different. You see, it's bigger. So when you put your finger in, you really don't have to look for a button. You just squeeze and you always hit the button. Even the adjust button, I've never managed to squeeze and not hit it right from the first time. So I believe this was better designed than this when it comes to usability. And the only difference, the module is pretty much the same, you will see. Even not only the functions, but all the buttons and operation is the same as this. So I believe this module was based on this with the added seconds counter, this I, which is a bit of a design flair. I don't know how you call it. I usually don't like these, but here it's not too much, so it's okay. So now that we've seen the size and everything, now we'll move on to the functions and the display. Okay, so this is the home screen, and as you can see, the watch displays hours, minutes, seconds, a day, month and date, and it has this seconds counter here. Now, while in this mode, if you press the adjust button here, you enter the adjust mode of the home screen. While in this mode, the top right button, which says start, resets the seconds, as you can see, just like on all other G-Shocks. And if you reset it beyond 30 seconds, it moves the minutes one up. If you reset it under 30 seconds, let's say like this, the minutes don't change. Now, pressing the mode button, you cycle through the different variables, the different values. So you go to hours, minutes, year, month, date, and back to seconds. Also, while in the seconds you can only reset it, on any other you move the value by pressing it. So if you squeeze the button, the value goes up. So you move the hours and the minutes. And unlike the newer G-Shocks, you cannot go back. So if you press this button, you won't move the hours. In fact, what happens when you press this button while in the adjust mode is you switch between 12 and 24 hour display, as you can see. So you can only move in one direction, but if you squeeze and hold, you get a speed scrolling function, so you can get to your destination faster. Okay, so when you press the adjust, when you're finished adjusting the time, you press the adjust, and you've exited the adjust mode. You're back to home screen. When this happens, these buttons change their function. So this button becomes the light button, as you can see, and it's got a nice backlight, pretty strong. And this button, at first, when you squeeze it, nothing happens. Now, if you read the manual, you will understand what it does, but I never read the manual. But since I noticed that it's pretty similar to this module, I will show you. And you see, this watch has all the functions and all the button functions written on its screen. And over here, it says light on off. So what it means is that if you press it and nothing happens, you always try to do a long press to see if there's a hidden function. So I mean another function of the button. So if you hold this, you get this little star on the screen. What this star means is that you've activated the flash alert. So I tried this without reading the manual or knowing if it has it. I just tried doing that in home screen, and it really does it. So you get this little star. Like I said, it's a flash alert. What that means is that whenever you get to a full hour, if you activate any kind of sound notification, an hourly chime, alarm, or a timer reaching a 0, if you have this on your screen, it means that the screen will flash, giving you a notification with light too. Which is good if you're in a loud place where you can't hear the watch but you can see it flashing, or it's good for people with hearing impairment. So it's a pretty useful function. Okay, another thing to say about this function, because some people don't like to have it on as it drains the battery, because the backlight is the biggest consumer of your battery. So some people who like to save their battery keep this off. But if you like the logo, some people like this little symbol, you can have it on as long as you don't have the alarm, the hourly chime, or the timer going on. It will never flash. So you can have this logo on and the flash alert on, but nothing will happen unless you turn on the alarm, the hourly chime, or the timer. So you will just turn it off. Okay. And in this home screen, when you're not in the adjust mode cycles you through other modes. So we'll just go through the modes real quickly. So this is the home screen. Then you get to the multifunction alarm, get to the countdown timer, and as you will notice, the current time and then stopwatch. The current time is displayed in all the modes except alarm. So it's exactly the same as the 1545 module that is in this model. So now let's move on to the alarm. Okay, so as you can see, the alarm says AL here. It's got some lines here which represent the day and the date and month, which I'll show you in a second, and these are the minutes and the hours. So pressing the adjust button enters the adjust mode in the alarm, and it automatically activates the alarm. So this little symbol means that the alarm is on. So now you cycle through the modes just like when setting the time in home screen, and it's exactly the same. You go and scroll. Here you have speed scrolling, and pressing it increases it by 1. Again, there is no decrease, and this button doesn't do anything here. So pressing the mode button, you set the minutes and the hours. When you get to these lines, if they're displayed like this with just lines, that means that this alarm is a daily alarm and will go off every day at 12 o'clock. If, however, you move this is a month. So if you move this to, let's say, here and leave it like this, it means that this alarm will go off every day during February. So every day in the month of February at 12 o'clock, this alarm will go off, but only in February. So if you move here and activate this, let's say this, now you have a yearly alarm that will go off on every 5th of February at 12 o'clock. However, if you move this back to the lines like this, the alarm will go off on every 5th of every month at 12 o'clock. So I think that's pretty simple and self-explanatory. Okay, now pressing the adjust button exits the adjust mode, and again the buttons change the function. This becomes the light button again, as it used to be, and this button is used to toggle between the alarm, the hourly chime, both or none. So when you have this symbol, it means that the alarm is on. This means that the hourly chime is on. This means that they're both on, and this means that nothing is on. So like I said, if you have that flash alert, let's just put it. Okay, so if you have this symbol, it means that the watch will chime every hour, and also the screen will flash. This will happen with the alarm and the chime, and then like this it won't flash at all. Okay, one more thing to notice, which is the same as the 1545, is if you change anything in any of the modes, the next press of the mode button takes you back to home screen. So you don't have to go through all the modes to get back. And as you will notice, the sound is just like that module. It has a beep, and the beep for the home screen is a bit higher in pitch, so you know that you're back in home screen. There. And it doesn't have a mute function, just like this model. Just like this model doesn't have. Okay, so next mode is the countdown timer. As you can see, the time is displayed, so you know what the time is while you're using the timer. And now again, pressing the adjust button enters the adjust mode. This is a 24-hour timer, and you can set it down to a second. So let's say we'll put it to 5 seconds. It's the same as the alarm. So this is the adjust button. This cycles through different values, and this increases the values. Again, speed scrolling just like any. But this button now, while in the adjust mode, has a function. And if you press it, you will see that there's a little auto that's displayed. What this means is that it has an auto repeat function. So when the timer runs down to 0, it will signal it reached the 0, and it will start all over again. And this is never ending. It will go over and over and over until you stop it, which is a great function for interval training. When you squeeze, now it's off, so now it will run to 0 and it will stop right there. So let's adjust this to 5 seconds. When you press the adjust button, it exits. You start and stop it with the start stop button, and when it reaches 0, you will see it will now flash because the flash is on also. Pressing any of the buttons will stop the flashing and the sound. One more thing to notice is that, let's just adjust this to 0. The older models of G-Shocks had a 24-hour alarm, countdown timer, but it was a 23, 59, 59. What that meant is that if the timer was set to 0 and you press the start button, nothing happens because it's reading it at 0. But with this, if you press the start button, it will start at 24 hours and start counting down. You stop it, if you want to stop it, you stop it with the start stop, and you reset it with the adjust. However, if you start the timer and you want to stop it and reset it, you don't have to stop it here. You can just press the adjust and it will stop it and reset it by itself. There. And the next function, now it will take us back to home screen because we changed something. As you can see, the next function is the stopwatch. This model has a 24-hour stopwatch, and it measures up to 1/100th of a second for the first hour, and then after that it moves to the right, and hundreds of seconds are disappeared. Then you have seconds, minutes, hours. So for the next 23 hours it measures up to 1 second. So if you press the start, you start the stopwatch. You stop it by pressing the start button and reset it by pressing the adjust button. It's pretty simple. But this also has a split function and the first and second place function. So the first one works like this. You start the stopwatch, and if you press the adjust without stopping the stopwatch, it says split on the screen. What that means is that it shows you the split time, but the stopwatch is still running. So if you press the adjust, it goes back to where it was, because it kept running. So, and then you stop it and reset it. The first and second place work pretty similar. So you start the stopwatch, and let's say you have 2 racers or 2 runners, and the first one, when he goes through over the finish line, you press the adjust button, and the second one you press the stop button. So now you have the first result, which is 11:72. By pressing the adjust button doesn't reset the stopwatch, but moves to the second time, 13:51. So now when you write that down, pressing again the adjust button resets the stopwatch. So pretty simple, but pretty useful. And that's about it when it comes to functions. You've seen the backlight and everything. I think it's still one of the best G-Shocks ever made when it comes to basic G-Shocks. And the only thing that's not like this is the looks. I prefer the looks of this one, but the functionality and the case, the button shape and everything is better on this model. So I really like it. The only problem is that the bezel and straps are nowhere to be found, so I keep mine in a watch box and I usually almost never wear it because I'm afraid I will ruin the strap and the bezel. I still have hopes that someday someone will find a container full of these replacement bezels and everything, and that they will show up on eBay or somewhere, and then I will be able to buy many so I can wear it worry free. And that's the only problem with this watch, that you don't have replacement parts anymore. Well, I hope you enjoyed the review, and thank you for watching.